Podcasters, assemble.
Good evening, 003. The following is for your ears only and is classified above top secret by Her Majesty's Secret Service. Our contact with the We Can Make This Work, probably, podcast network intercepted an encrypted audio message regarding Podcasters Assemble. For this season, the podcast network is looking to recruit field operatives from around the world to reminisce about the Bond movies in a countdown to the latest film in the franchise, No Time to Die. Your primary objective is to infiltrate Podcasters Assemble by recording and uploading your submissions at probablywork.com, utilizing a two-way communications device with a built-in microphone, the latest from Q-Branch. For a full mission report, go to probablywork.com. We're all counting on you, 003.
Hello, my name is Ben Thompson. I am from badassoftheweek.com.
Hi, this is Justin Aki, graphic designer and one half of Significant Honor Co.
Eric Slater here from Epic Fails of History and Too Young for This Trek.
This is Troidal Power from the Power Playthroughs podcast.
Hi, my name's Bill. I'm from Bill's JRPG Adventures and Other Trappings podcast, and soon to be co-host of The World Is My Burrito podcast. And this is The Living Daylights.
This is the first Bond film featuring Timothy Dalton in The Living Daylights.
And today we are talking about The Living Daylights.
The Living Daylights. The Living Daylights is the 15th Bond film, based partially on an Ian Fleming short story, and is Timothy Dalton's introduction as James Bond.
This is from 1987. It's the first Timothy Dalton movie. It was released the same day as The Lost Boys and beat it out at the box office. And it is also the first James Bond movie that I saw in the movie theater, although I was probably a little too young to appreciate it.
This movie was basically a reboot, not just an actor, but overall theme. We get a new Moneypenny, Bond is on the shit list, not just a hotshot agent, and the Cold War is still pretty warm. I actually appreciate this movie more than watching, more. It was a breath of fresh air. I don't know if it holds up 100% to that, but after watching these in a row, I truly liked it. I think the next movie would be a little bit better, but we'll see how it works out. It's been a while.
Quite frankly, the best Bond film in existence, ever made, ever was, ever will be, starring the great Timothy Dalton. People, prepare for something you have not experienced yet. This is a fantastic Bond film.
I've been really excited to get to Timothy Dalton's James Bond movies. I've always remembered liking these two quite a bit, but I like them for being action movies, whereas the Roger Moore movies I remember liking for being comedies. And I gotta tell you, this time around watching those Roger Moore movies again, they didn't necessarily do it for me on the comedic front. But I'm happy to say that The Living Daylights absolutely holds up as an action movie.
Timothy Dalton originally screen tested for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but we got George Lazenby instead. He turned down options to appear in Diamonds Are Forever, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, and A View to a Kill, just because he was either not ready yet or he had other projects he was working on. He originally wasn't available to do Living Daylights, so they offered it to Pierce Brosnan, but Pierce Brosnan couldn't get out of his Remington Steele contract. They offered it to Christopher Reeve, Superman, he couldn't do it, and then Dalton figured out his schedule, got on board, and now finally, we've been trying to get him to be James Bond since the 60s, now we get it. 1987, here we go, The Living Daylights.
Thank God we are finally out of the more.
This movie marks the first appearance of Timothy Dalton, and the turn of the series from slight comedic to serious enough.
So, guys, my favourite film in the Bond franchise, The Living Daylights. I hope you're ready for this. I'm going to show this film so much love because it is the quintessential Bond movie. It has everything. It has charm. It has charisma. It doesn't have any rape. And it's just overall a fantastic romp of a movie. You know, you could possibly argue that the villain could have been a bit stronger. But other than that, I think Timothy Dalton makes a fantastic job of playing Bond in this movie. And it is just absolutely amazing.
The Living Daylights starts with a nice classic gun barrel sequence. During this cold open, we see M's desk on a jumbo jet, which, I mean, at this point isn't really all that surprising considering he has an office on a submarine and in the middle of an archaeological dig site and in the middle of a derelict ship in the middle of the Hong Kong Bay, randomly. I love how his papers go flying. Anyway, Bond and other 00 agents are on a training mission in Gibraltar.
Leave it to the Brits to once again have a proper office in the back of a plane.
So welcome to the island of Gibraltar. Now, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure someone else will probably say this as well, Gibraltar is actually an English colony, and it is an island situated off of the west coast of, I believe, Spain or Portugal, somewhere in that region. So it's in a really nice location, and it is very, very close to, I think it's Portugal. I want to say Portugal. It's very close to there. And, but it remains part of the UK, and people there actually get to vote in UK elections and everything. It balls out, you know. It's a bit like the Falklands, but even more part of the UK because the Argentinians aren't trying to fight for it. Anyway, let's not get political. But yes, welcome to Gibraltar.
They parachute into the middle of a paintball tournament. This looks like the most fun thing ever. Dalton has a great reveal. I gotta admit, that whole opening sequence was actually pretty good.
The movie has a solid cold opening, a training mission on Gibraltar. Oh, and M has an office on a paratrooper plane, because of course he does. But the mission goes a little rough, and it's infiltrated by a Russian agent who actually kills some MI6 and MOD soldiers alike. After a harrowing trip down, I guess they call them roads? Damn. Bond ends up accidentally blowing up the Jeep with a box of grenades. I do like how he pulls his reserve chute. That was a fun escape. And then Bond ends up on a boat with a girl before the opening credits. End of movie, everyone. Head on out. Movie over.
We open in Gibraltar. We have 002, 004, and 007. They're going to parachute into Gibraltar as part of a field exercise to test the island's defenses. Waiting for them on the island is the SAS, who are like the toughest of the British military, and the 00 agents are going to try to see if they can infiltrate the British installation on Gibraltar in the middle of the day by parachuting in broad daylight.
And they're doing some sort of, test mission, just to show how good the 00 agents are. And admittedly, one of the 00 agents absolutely bloody sucks, because the moment he lands on the island, he gets shot with a paint gun by the SAS guys. Now, I'm going to talk about the SAS guys' posh voices in a minute, but I'll come back to that. But yeah, they all jump out the airplane, and this is where we see that this is actually going to be a bit more of a serious affair, because they don't have huge Union Jack parachutes, They have camouflaged parachutes so that they kind of blend into the mountain a little bit,
I mean, the opening of this movie, the pre-credits action scene, is a better action scene and chase scene than anything Roger Moore put to film in his entire run as James Bond. What's happening is basically there's a training mission going on. That's two factions of the British military or Secret Service or whatever going against each other. But there's actually a spy inside of the group of spies who's trying to kill the spies.
It was really cool to see some of the other 00 agents in action, even though they both immediately get killed by the SAS. They get shot with these pink bullets, and that's the end of them. But it's still cool to get this idea of these other 00 agents out there and see them in action.
I love how the SAS is allegedly prepared for these agents, and yet nobody is prepared for an assassin.
Now, I'm a British guy, You may have noticed this or not. And I just want to say that the accents that the SAS people here have is terrible. Now, I've seen a lot of SAS programs over the years. There's a particularly good one in the UK called SAS, Who Dares Wins, which is fantastic. It's mostly following this guy called Ant Middleton and his crew. And he actually only lives up the road from me in, I won't say where, but somewhere in Essex. And the SAS tend to not come from the posher parts of society. Let's say that. They are very gruff fellows. But these guys are like, hello, I shot you, Bond. Oh, you must be dead. Yeah, because people with a high class education don't go into the army.
On the island, we see one of the 00 agents is killed. His rope is cut and he falls to his death. And I don't know if it's a dummy or if it's a stunt, but it looks pretty brutal when this guy falls and plummets and bounces off a rock on his way down.
and James Bond has to stop him. But everybody else thinks it's a paintball exercise, and there's like this wild Jeep that's going down a hill with James Bond on top of it.
So yes, it all goes a bit wrong though, because there is another double agent out there who has turned up in order to kill off the 00 agents on this special mission. And, you know, he manages to cut the rope on one, and Bond immediately jumps to action, figures it out, and starts running after the guy. So the guy steals a car after killing an SAS man and starts driving off. They cover his windshield with paint, and just at that point, Bond running along, because, you know, it's easy to keep up with a car going at 30, 40 miles an hour when you're running, jumps off of a ledge and lands on the roof.
The chase down the hill in the Land Rover is pretty cool, and Timothy Dalton does some of his own stunts on this. He actually is hanging off the roof of this truck as it's careening around. It's a nice change of pace from some of the later Roger Moore movies where you get a lot of that, like Captain Kirk original Star Trek thing, where it's very clear who the stunt double is and who the actual actor is. So that's a really cool thing.
I love this updated Bond mix they play when Bond is on top of the assassin's car.
It's all action, people. It's all action. He's stabbing at the roof with his knife to try and get into it. The SAS starts shooting at the truck, and it starts catching on fire at the back, and this truck happens to just contain a load of explosives. They start bashing through cafes. Bond falls through the roof and starts beating the guy up. He actually headbutts him. Like, it's pretty savage. You know, he just goes, whoosh! Headbutt straight away. It's just like, yeah, this Bond is no nonsense. There's no poshing around or anything.
We get a great save the cat moment here where Dalton swerves to avoid like the idyllic perfect family from a head-on collision, even though he's like in the process of knife fighting a dude while hanging out of a burning truck full of explosives.
And eventually, you know, they get to the point where they go off a cliff, and Bond, who just happens to have a second parachute, because you always need a second parachute, pulls his chute, the wind picks him, pulls him right out of the car, and the guy who was killing the 00 agents descends to his death and explodes in a big fireball of death.
It ends up going off a cliff, and Bond has to beat the guy up, and then he ends up landing on a girl's boat, stealing her cell phone so he can call into headquarters to let him know, and says he'll be back in an hour. And then the girl's like, hey, you want to do it? And he's like, let's make that 2 hours.
Bond drives the truck off the cliff, pulls his reserve chute, pops out of there like Bane. The truck then explodes, and Bond, of course, parachutes directly onto a yacht where he lands next to a bikini babe and immediately starts hitting on her.
That's so good. It's great action, it's exciting, it's an excellent chase scene, and then it's got a great Bond moment at the end of it. Bond on a boat with the girl. Bam! Timothy Dalton is here to be James Bond.
Oh, what a cold open that was, you know. And just to top it all off at the very end, Bond, after parachuting out of a falling, burning, exploding car, parachutes onto a gigantic yacht with a very attractive lady who's very bored and wants a real man in her life. So this is like the end of most other Bond films. But this is how Timothy Dalton begins his life. But without, you know, it's all pretty funny, and you know, he falls into some sexy time with some champagne on a boat, and it doesn't feel rapey. So well done, directors. I love this film. It's so good. I'm so glad it doesn't feel rapey.
Why does a fake exercise have real dynamite but not real guns, just in case somebody attacks?
Timothy Dalton is a really good Bond. He's a big step up from Moore, and I love his outfits. It's nice seeing Bond wearing clothes other than a tux for once. He's a breath of fresh air from the last 10 movies?
It's a good intro. I like it. I'm on board with this Bond. I like Dalton already, and I'm ready to go.
Quick little factoid for you guys. So far, do you know the nationalities of the Bond people we've had? Because Timothy Dalton is Welsh. That's right. He is a Welshman. He doesn't sound anywhere Welsh at all. Like, his accent is the least Welsh accent I think I've ever heard in my life. But yes, so far that means we've had Sean Connery, who is Scottish. We've had Roger Moore, who is English. And we've had Lazenby, who's actually Australian. So yeah, we currently have a good old circle round of the of British people. So it would have made sense if maybe we had an Irishman next. But wait, do we?
It transitions into the opening sequence, and I think what they were trying to do is they had Duran Duran for A View to a Kill, and they were like, how do we out 80s our like ultimate James Bond 80s intro? And they're like, aha, we get aha.
And we move into the opening by Aha! 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 Yeah, that's an Alan Partridge joke for the 5 people who are probably listening to this who have seen Alan Partridge. Because I don't know if that's even popular in America. Aha! But yes, the living daylights. Oh, it's so good, it's so good. And it does a really good job of making this film just seem so super 80s. But also there's lots of women just holding guns. I've noticed that as well over the last couple of Bond films. Is this a thing? You know, I'm pretty sure it's a thing on Pornhub. But yeah, it seems to be a big thing on Bond as well.
This song is the second in a row that just straight kills. Seriously. Oh, the living daylights. You have to love Aha. Take on me. The rest of the intro is super weird though, but the song is straight fire.
Once again, we get another great Bond song. Again with all the weird yoga stuff. Meg calls it Gun Tai Chi.
I'm also a whore for Aha, so this intro is a win for me. The lyrics don't make the most sense, but being an Aha song, that's par for the course if you take on me.
Aha is the most successful pop band in the history of Norway. All 3 guys were knighted by the King of Norway for service to their country. And this song here was number 5 in the UK, and it was number 1 in Norway for a while. I like it. I think it's good. It works for me. Yeah.
Cut to Czechoslovakia, which doesn't exist as a country anymore. That's crazy to think about in Bond movies, especially ones that weren't in the 60s. We all understand East and West Berlin being a thing, but to get rid of a whole country, that's crazy to think about. I was 3 when this movie came out.
We're over into Czechoslovakia, or the Czech Republic, whatever it's called nowadays. And yeah, they were at some sort of a cello concert, or just an orchestral concert, and Bond is trying to help a Russian KGB person defect or something. I don't really know what they're doing. You know, he's trying to get this guy called Georgi out of the country and into another country that's more friendly to Europeans. So they're trying to defect this KGB guy, basically. And he turns up, you know, he pervs on a woman with a cello, because as you do, she's pretty hot though. But the guy who's running the operation, who's basically ordering Bond around, is such a dick. Like, he's such a prick. And what the hell is that gun? So Bond has to basically look out for snipers to try and protect him. And apparently Georgi also asked for Bond specifically. So obviously this is all some sort of weird setup. And yeah, this gun is just crazy. It looks like it's been left over from the set of Moonraker, to be honest with you.
We open in Czechoslovakia, and this General Koskov is, he's going to defect from the USSR. He's a very high-ranking general. He's wearing the star of the Hero of the Soviet Union on his uniform, and he is going to sneak out at intermission of this concert and defect to the West. James Bond is there to help do some counter-sniper activity, and they're going to get him out and get him into the UK.
The girl with the cello. Oh, snap, she's a sniper.
The start of James Bond's mission here is to help a Russian general to defect, and he's told them that he's pretty sure there's a sniper going to try and take him out. So James Bond's mission is to stop the sniper.
Bond attends an orchestra to survey a target, and I'll say, his contact is a dick. For like no reason. You basically have an assassin to come help you, but don't be so rude, sir. Bond and Saunders go across the street to a kill room set up specifically for counter-sniping, where Bond gets to handle a friggin' Walther WA-2000 sniper rifle. There were only 176 of these made. They cost about $9,000 back then, which is about $20,000. It's worth over $100,000 now. I'll admit, I know more about this weapon because of the video game Hitman 2, not because of anything particular.
This big giant gun that Bond has is a Walther WA-200 sniper rifle. Interestingly, this is a real gun, and there were only like 170, 180 of them ever made. So they end up being one of like they're like this extreme collector's item. They're very expensive to buy. I think one sold recently for like almost 80 grand on the market because they're just very difficult to get. Super collector's item, this rifle.
During this opening, we see Bond's kick-ass fold-out goggles. That is a really solid gadget.
And he ends up seeing this girl who is the sniper, and something about it doesn't feel right. So instead of murdering her, James just shoots her gun, which causes her to miss her shot, of course.
We're only a few minutes in, and I already really enjoy how affirmative Dalton sounds versus Moore. Moore always sounded like he was wondering if what he said was correct and was just hoping others believed him.
Bond is once again after the KGB. I love how this movie feels so much more serious than the last several. I already like this version of Bond so much better. He's not a complete egomaniac like Moore. At one point he even says, "Why me?" The other guy responds, "Because they think you're the best." And he just kind of shrugs.
So Bond decides not to kill this female sniper, and the other guy just seems to know that he inherently missed on purpose, because that's easy to tell when you're holding a giant prop from the set of Moonraker. And it's just really funny. Bond takes over the operation, completely humiliates the other guy as well when he gets Yorgi out of the boot, says, "No, come on, sit in the front with me, you'll be fine." And then he takes him to a place where they pump Russian gas to Central Europe. And they stick him in a giant pod thing, which is called the pig, which is used for cleaning out the pipes. And Yorgi is naturally very, very worried about the fact that he's going to go in this huge pipe through, which is normally something that pumps natural gas everywhere. And it just shows that also Timothy Dalton is going to keep some of the humour in the Bond films, because Yorgi says he goes, "Oh no, our guys have been testing this for months. You're going to be fine, Yorgi." It's like, "Oh great, yeah. How many people have done it?" It's like, "You're going to be the first." So you just hit knock, and he shuts the door, locks him in. It's like, "Thank you, Yorgi. You're going, man." But yeah, it's just really, really funny.
And then he completely takes over the operation to get the guy out of the country by taking the Russian general to the Trans-Siberian pipeline, sticking him inside of a scrubber tube that they use to clean the pipes, and just shooting him across the border that way.
And now we've got a good one-liner with this stupid pipeline joke, and I love it.
I do love as James and the technician at the Trans-Siberian pipeline are putting him into the tube. James tells him, "Our engineers have been working for months perfecting this." And Koskov, who is a great actor, goes, "How many times have you done this before?" And Bond goes, "You're the first," and slams the lid shut.
This whole conversation between Bond and Koskov while Bond is trying to shove him into the pipeline is just phenomenal. I am already in love with how Dalton interacts with humans.
Bond stops the quote-unquote assassin cellist, but shooting her rifle instead, and the general there helping greets James like an old friend, which means James Bond is a terrible spy. Nothing new. But Bond knows a better way to get the general across the border to Austria, and takes him to a natural gas distributor and sends him through the pig. That whole scene is gold. I love his helper, Rashika. She was great. The general makes it over the border where Q is waiting with a friggin' Harrier jet. Dudes, how did you get that there in the first place?
It's awesome. I love this scene. This is one of those James Bond scenes that sticks in my mind, like everything about this sequence.
My favorite ally in this movie is actually Rashika, the lady who helps get Koskov out of Bratislava and the pig. She's just solid and willing to take one for the team. It's very funny.
We get the bit with the woman as well, who just sort of but who's one of Bond's sort of agents in this pipe factory, and she just decides to shove her boobs in this guy's face so he doesn't see all the lights light up when they send the pig down the pipes. Does that sound funny? Sending the pigs down the pipes? Is that euphemism?
I gotta admit, that was a really clever way of getting the Soviet defector into Austria through that pipeline.
As much as I love the Aston Martin, I actually think the pig is the most fun vehicle in this movie. It's like the luge from hell, but it gets the job done.
I think this whole escape scenario is great. There's espionage, there's cool stuff. They get away on a Harrier. There's a diversion involving a girl. Dalton is tough. He's no nonsense. It's no funny disguises, no gondolas with motorboat attachments, no kooky weird disguises or stuff. You just it's very hard hitting espionage, spy thriller kind of stuff. And I think it's very good, and I think Dalton is great. I think he's very funny. He's got a lot of really good one-liners, and he's got a really good personality for Bond, right? And they're like, well, why didn't you? He doesn't sniper the girl, and they're like, why didn't you do that? He's like, well, it's because she's not a pro.
Yes, but anyway, when he gets to the other side, Q is waiting for him, and yes, thank God, Q's back. I feel like he's been missing for a couple of films. I'm pretty sure he has been missing for a couple of films, but oh my God, thank God, Q is back. That is great. And they've successfully defected Yorgi from Russia to Austria. Yay! Yay, Q. Thank you.
And then, as he's explaining what happened to the guy who was supposed to be in charge of the operation, who's like, you missed deliberately. Why didn't you kill the sniper? He's like, I only kill professionals, which is a good line to begin with. And then he looks ahead as he's driving and goes, whoever she was, it must have scared the living daylights out of her.
Oh, they must have scared the living daylights out of her. Nice plug, Bond. Nice plug for your own film. Love it.
Hell yeah, Timothy Dalton.
Like, he could tell immediately that she's not a pro. He wasn't going to pull the trigger, so he shoots the gun out of her hand, which I think is great. I think the whole sequence is awesome.
What's weird is, I always think it's in From Russia with Love, because in From Russia with Love, there's that scene where the guy's escaping out the building, and James has to go and snipe the guys. He's like, there's a secret door in the woman's mouth on the billboard. I always combine these two scenes in my head.
Oh, money penny. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
It's Q and a new, younger Moneypenny? It's a little jarring because we've had the same Moneypenny since Dr. No up until now, but we still have the same Q.
So I feel like the Moneypenny interactions up until this movie have gotten like more and more subdued because she was getting older and the Bonds were switching and even the Bonds were older. So I really enjoy this new, younger Moneypenny who has a renewed sexual tension with Dalton.
Hey, we get a new Moneypenny in this one, and she and Bond are all flirty and stuff just like they always are, and she's like, hey, you should come and listen to my Barry Manilow collection. And then he slaps her on the butt and walks away, which, you know... But the reason I want to bring it up is because the subtitles want to make sure you don't miss that moment. So the subtitles on it actually say, brackets, slapping buttocks in that moment.
Oh, Moneypenny. I'll be honest with you. I'll go full Barry Manilow all over you. I really would. Yeah? You want me to come listen to Barry Manilow with you? I'm there. Please, just send me your number. Cool. Go for it.
Bond goes back to Britain, where we meet a new hot Moneypenny, and Q is demonstrating a ghetto blaster. Yes, folks, this is the height of jokes in the 1980s. A rocket-launching ghetto blaster.
So this boombox bazooka is called the Ghetto Blaster? Yeesh.
Now, best Bond gadget? Come on, the Ghetto Blaster. A Ghetto Blaster with an inbuilt rocket launcher? Ah, yes.
And we're on to my favorite invention, the Ghetto Blaster, when you gotta break dance and break through enemy lines all at once.
When we are in Q Branch, there's a very cool sequence with that. The rocket that fires out of the boombox was actually launched by Prince Charles. He was on set that day with Princess Diana, and he's like a huge James Bond fan, and they allowed him to like push the button that shot that rocket out for that sequence. He was also, him and Di were at the premiere of this movie. Prince Charles, I think I said in one of the previous episodes during The Spy Who Loved Me, when they do that amazing like stunt where he skis off the cliff and the British flag parachute opens up. Prince Charles was at the premiere of that as well, and he just like stood up and started clapping when he heard the James Bond theme and saw the British flag open. So he's a fan.
We also finally get a car. The last few movies have been a total car loss, and it made me sad. We get a brand new Vantage V8, which is very fine. It's totally 80s looking, but it has a ton of gadgets, like tons of them. And Bond is very cheeky when he shows them off later.
But yes, I have to say as well, I'm going to change my mind. I said earlier the Ghetto Blaster is the best gadget in this film, but actually the best gadget is here with the gun detecting rake. Yep, if there's a gun nearby, the rake will go beep, 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 beep. Fantastic, what a gadget.
This film isn't making everything blatantly obvious, which is one of the reasons I'm enjoying it up to this point. Bond walks up to this mansion And there's a rake that kind of mysteriously turns towards him, and it is a metal detector, and I really enjoy that.
Bond goes to visit the general during his debriefing, bringing by a laundry list of very expensive snacks from Harrods, including a bottle of Bollinger RD. Now, this one was tricky. RD is aged for a minimum of 8 years, and the closest date I could find is a 1976 bottle, currently going for $799. I'm assuming it was cheaper back then. Oh, and everyone was smoking cigarettes like fiends.
So here we go over to one of my. It's just I just love this film so much. There are so many of my favourite film moments from the whole Bond series. But we have the Russian milkman who infiltrates the British, shall we say, stately home that they're keeping Yorgi in. You know, Bond's just come over and bought him a little care package from Harrods, which contains Bollinger. Yes, another plug for Bollinger and the Bond films. I love me a drop of Bollinger, and so does Bond. I love it, and Yorgi's very happy about it as well.
Okay, so the Russian defector is at this safe house, and he's explaining to them that this General Pushkin has gone mad, and he's killing all these spies, and he's leaving this phrase behind that I can't remember what the phrase is, but basically it translates to death to spies. It's a Spectre thing, I believe.
Death to spies. That's a Smersh reference. That's from the books.
Okay, so they're debriefing Koskov, and he says his boss, General Pushkin, is anti-detente, and he's going to, start trouble. He's going to start a war with the West. He's gone rogue, and he needs to be taken out.
While he's debriefing them, Bond comes and gives the guys some, fancy food and stuff. But then KGB agent shows up and he disguises himself as a milkman, like Agent 47 and Hitman 2 in that demo disc that was on the official PlayStation Monthly magazine. You all know the one.
But yes, oh my god, the German, is it German? No, the Russian guy with the Russian milkman who comes in, infiltrates the manor by delivering milk, as you do, because who suspects a milkman? No one in England would ever suspect the milkman. So he comes in.
I know it's not really a gadget, but I love the milk canister grenades, right? I think that's awesome. He pulls he's got these milk bottles, and he pulls them out and he throws them and they explode like grenades. I'm super into it. I love it.
He kills a couple of guards, and then he says there's a gas leak, so they set the alarm off, and then he starts throwing exploding milk bottles everywhere until the point where he's able to almost incapacitate Yorgi.
But there's a blonde Terminator slowly waking his way to the house, eventually breaking out the general. It looks like a kidnapping. Spoiler, turns out the general was in on it. We also get a KGB versus Butler fight that's pretty epic.
They send a KGB assassin out to get Koskov. He's played by the dude with the glasses in Die Hard, Carl's brother, the ho-ho-ho, I have a machine gun guy. There's an awesome fight in the kitchen involving they're whipping boiling water at each other, and they're hitting each other with various kitchen implements, and I think the fighting is great. It's very realistic seeming. It's very brutal. I'm super into it.
Call me wrong if I am, but I think the milkman fight in the kitchen is the first in the franchise to show that other agents are actually competent fighters.
And at one point as well during this whole thing, he grills a man's face in the kitchen. He grills it on a grill, and it's just, ouch, man. That's low. That is low.
Wow, that is a smooth hitman. Holy crap, that was a brutal fight scene in the kitchen. Exploding milk bottles.
And Agent 47 just starts throwing these milk bottles all over the place, but they're secretly grenades, and it's making all these explosions, and he ends up kidnapping the general pack. But where did Bond go in all this? I was unclear. I thought Bond was at the safe house still, but maybe he just dropped off some groceries and then left? I don't know. Something about that was weird.
Then we learn a few minutes later that they are not competent as a whole. They let the guy they're protecting go in a random helicopter that nobody asked for, and nobody confirmed the landing.
Anyway, they get Koskov out of there. They knock him unconscious, and they load him into a helicopter, and they fly him away.
And then a rogue helicopter comes in out of nowhere with a big red cross on it, so obviously it must be an ambulance. And they put Yorgi on the ambulance and then fly off, and one of the guys goes, "Oh no, shit. They've captured Yorgi back within minutes. This is so embarrassing."
There was a little bit of a controversy surrounding this movie because the Red Cross, Red Crescent were very upset that the bad guys use helicopters and, they package drugs and stuff with the marking of the Red Cross. It's kind of a dangerous thing to do because, the way that this works in real life is that you have to assume that the Red Crescent badge is for, neutrality and, medics. There's all this war crimes stuff surrounding this. And the Red Cross was a little upset that the movie used their badging for this. But, in real life, this bad guys also do that. So it's a little bit realistic as well, I guess.
M chastises Bond for not killing the girl. It was instinct. Sure it was, Bond. Sure.
M second guesses Bond's instincts. How is that possible? He saved the world multiple times. How far back does this continuity go?
After the general gets taken back again, MI6 is like, well, clearly we got to take care of this Pushkin guy. So they send Bond to assassinate him.
Turns out there's another general who wants to kill Koskov. That being General Pushkin, General Gogol's replacement.
So the plot that's going on here is that apparently, which is the information Yorgi passed on to the British Secret Service, is that a guy called Pushkin is plotting to kill 00 agents. So he puts Bond in charge of trying to uncover the plot. And Bond's kind of like, Pushkin, really? He's kind of like an old buddy pal of mine. And you may remember him from the first Indiana Jones film as well, where he helps Indiana Jones out a lot in the desert.
Is that Gimli? Holy shit, it is! John Rhys Davies! He's not just Gimli, he's also from Sliders, and he's in Indiana Jones as Sala.
Man, I am real hyped to see John Rhys Davies. He's such an amazing choice for a villain or a dwarf. He's just so imposing but respectable.
Okay, we go to Tangiers, Morocco, and we meet General Pushkin, and it's Salah. For a Welshman, John Rhys Davies gets cast as an Arab a lot, but yeah, it's easy, we're on board with it.
Oh, and it's Salah from Indiana Jones. Or, if you're a man of culture, Professor Maximilian Arturo from Sliders. Fine, I guess he's also Gimli if you're into that sort of thing.
So, Pushkin seems like he's supposed to be a good guy, He's got good back history with Indy and stuff. So, yeah, I'm completely with you, Bond. I don't think he's a psychopath. But, you've got to go out and you've got to keep an eye on this.
So Gimli, General Pushkin, is sort of the main bad guy?
So MI6 give the order to assassinate Pushkin. And Bond isn't convinced. He doesn't like this. He knows this guy. He's worked with him before. He's a worthy adversary, but he's not the sort of person that needs to be assassinated. But, Bond's got orders. He's got to do it. He's going to go.
This Q scene is awesome. You've got your stun gas, you got a trick sofa, and then there's a special key that opens every lock no matter what, for some reason, somehow.
So here we go, we got the big plot point gadget that pops up in most Bond films, like the magnetic watch that Bond used to unzip women's dresses back in, that film. But yeah, this one we have the stun gas keyring, where if you whistle the first couple of keys of Rule Britannia, it will let off some stun gas. And if you, they set it to wolf whistle for James Bond, and it'll explode. And it's also got a special key ring on it that will unlock any lock. Well, 90% of the world's lock, according to Q. There we go. All of your smartphones have just set off stun gas. So sorry about that, people.
Bond gets some more gadgets, including a universal key on a fun key fob with its own, knockout powers and bomb thing.
But as good as the exploding gas unlocking all the doors in the world keyring is, it's not as good as the sit on this sofa and it's going to turn around and capture you thing and suck you into it. I'm sure that was from a film called Monsters. Don't know if anyone remembers that from the 80s. But yeah, the sofa sucks this man in and Q sits on it. So funny.
Was there a need for Q to sit on his own associate in a trap couch? No. Was it worth it? Totally.
I really like Q's lab in this one. It looks like an actual R&D lab. I don't know what's different about it, but something about it feels a little bit more real and high tech, and I like it.
God, that Aston Martin V8 is beautiful. It's been neat to see these other exotic cars like the Lotus Esprit and the Auto Rickshaw, but nothing beats an old Aston Martin.